I, 38-year-old female, and my husband, 40-year-old male, have two young kids, 1-year-old and 5 years old, and live in a modest home in the Midwest. It is the first home that we purchased a few years ago. We both lived in Los Angeles, California, where we met 12 years ago, but decided to move to the Midwest 7 years ago in order to start a family. We made this very careful and thought-out decision over the course of 2 years and agreed that we could not afford to live in California, let alone raise kids there. We selected our Midwestern city based on many factors and personal values, and ultimately decided it was the right choice for us. My immediate family has lived in Los Angeles for 20 years, my brother and parents. My brother is extremely successful and now owns 3 properties in LA. My parents are lower middle class and rent a very small apartment nearby one of his properties. My father's health is declining and he does not work, and my mom hopes to retire in a few years. When we moved from LA, my family was very hurt, but my parents understood our decision and knew it was the best for us. My brother, on the other hand, was in denial up until the month before we moved, and ultimately had a very hard time with our separation. 1 year after we moved to the Midwest, we bought our first home and had a baby. Around this time, my husband's parents retired and were living across the country, and decided to move to our city to be closer to us and to our kids. We love his parents, and they've been a huge support for us over the past 5 years. We now have 2 kids. They help us with childcare each week and are so engaged with our kids. They bought a home a few blocks away from us, and our kids have their own bedrooms there, tons of toys and everything they could ever need. Our boys adore them, and they bring a lot of stability and positivity to our lives. After our move to the Midwest 7 years ago, there was a lot of tension between my brother and me. He resented us for leaving and felt I was abandoning the family. At one point, we didn't see each other for 3 years. Finally, last Christmas, after 3 years, he came to visit us and really connected deeply with my kids. We decided to put the BS behind us and got closer again. Last year, we all saw each other every 6 weeks or so, from December 2022 to December 2023. It was sort of like my family had reconnected and healed. He paid for our flights out to California a few times, and also came to visit us. And this included my parents, too. My kids have built a very close relationship with him. Additionally, even years before all of this, he put me in his will and later made me and my 2 kids the beneficiaries to all of his financial assets. He also opened a trust fund for both of my kids. Basically wants my children to be financially stable and comfortable as adults. It is extremely generous, to say the least. I should add that he does not have any children and does not plan to. Last spring, while we were in California, he got super emotional and talked about how we should move back to California. He stated that he would buy us a home in a family-centered neighborhood with a yard, good schools, basically anything we would want, etc. He promises to match our current mortgage and bills so that we are essentially paying rent, but not paying more than what we are paying now. So we would basically have a super nice home in California for the amount we are paying for our home here. The home would also be an investment for us and be in my name. He so badly wants us all to live near each other again. The issue is that my in-laws cannot afford to live in California, and we would have to leave them behind. Basically, exchange them for my family. I cannot do that after everything they've done for us, moving here for us, being here for us even when my own family wasn't. My kids are super attached to them too. My husband also hates Los Angeles and loathes the thought of raising our kids there. His narrative is, we worked so hard to leave Los Angeles, and we built a great life of our own. Why would we want to go back? He also doesn't want to feel indebted to my brother, worries there could be strings attached, and most importantly, would feel horrible for leaving his own parents, and is concerned it could strain their relationship, even though his mom is super supportive and understanding of all of this. Emotionally, I would love to move back to California, and I think this is an incredible and generous opportunity that we would be stupid not to take. But I also know that I wouldn't be able to live with myself for leaving my in-laws. Taking them away from my kids and doing so would feel selfish. My dream is for my entire family to live near each other, in-laws included, but it's not possible. I feel anticipatory regret on both sides. Regret for not moving back and being near my own family, and regret for leaving my in-laws if we did move back. Lose-lose. It's important to note that my brother is tied to California and cannot move due to his business. He also hates where we live and has made it clear he will never ever move here or anywhere outside of Southern California. So it's California or nothing. My in-laws have stated that if my family lived somewhere else, anywhere more affordable than California, they would follow us there, no doubt. They just can't financially survive in Southern California, understandably. Also, my mom cannot financially support herself in California if she were to retire there. We have discussed the possibility of my parents moving here so they can be closer to us, and so my mom can comfortably retire. My brother could also help them purchase a home here, but refuses to because he wants us all in California. So basically, my mom would have to continue working through her 70s and beyond just to afford life in California. Who is right in this case? Are we stupid for not taking my brother up on his generous offer? He thinks it's crazy how much I am letting my in-laws dictate our decision. In reality, they are 100% supportive of whatever we do. I just think it would be selfish and crappy. I can't think outside of my own head and would appreciate some objective advice and perspective. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. You would be crazy to do this at your brother's request. What if he gets angry at you and decides to stop giving financial aid to your home? Honestly, you'd be foolish to do it. And if he decides to exclude you from his will, you know you made the right decision. I think that will happen. Why he doesn't do more for his parents' comfort is strange. If he can buy all those things for you, why not do it for his parents? At least make it so his parents don't have to work for the rest of their lives. Comment 2. Can you please explain why your parents aren't retired and enjoying life, traveling, etc.? If he wants to spend money, why won't he help his own parents? Also, if he is this wealthy, he can help the in-laws buy a home in California. Why are you letting him badmouth your husband and in-laws when he doesn't take care of his own parents? Now, for the update, thanks for sticking around for more of my family drama. So last week, my brother dropped a bomb on us. Out of nowhere, he calls and says he's bought a house for us in California. Not just any house, but a mansion in a ritzy neighborhood. He didn't even ask, just did it. My husband was furious, saying it was a power move, a way to manipulate us into moving. I couldn't help but feel a twinge of excitement, but I knew deep down it was wrong. Then, 2 days later, my in-laws sat us down. They'd been to the doctor and the news wasn't good. My mother-in-law, the woman who'd been our rock, was sick. Really sick. It was like a punch to the gut. They needed us now more than ever. The idea of moving to California felt even more impossible. But my brother wouldn't let up. He flew in, keys in hand, ready to celebrate. He threw a party, invited all our friends, even flew my parents in from LA. It was supposed to be a surprise, a joyful reunion. Instead, it turned into a showdown. My husband told him off, said we weren't his puppets. My brother laughed it off, said we'd come around, that we were being emotional. The next day, my parents cornered me. They were tired, they said, of living in that tiny apartment, of struggling. They wanted to retire, to live near their grandkids. They didn't understand why we wouldn't just take the house, why we were choosing my in-laws over them. I felt torn apart, like I was being asked to choose which family I loved more. And then, as if things couldn't get more complicated, my mother-in-law did something unexpected. She told us to take the house. She said they'd manage, that they didn't want to be the reason we missed out on this opportunity. It was selfless, heartbreaking. My husband was quiet for a long time after that. I could tell he was wrestling with guilt and anger. We were at a stalemate. My brother was pushing, my parents were pleading, and my in-laws were sacrificing. And me, I was stuck in the middle, trying to keep everyone happy and failing miserably. The week ended with a call from my brother. He was done waiting, he said. He needed an answer or he'd sell the house. It felt like an ultimatum, My husband said it was a test, that my brother wanted to see if we'd cave. I wasn't so sure. I was tired of being the mediator, of being walked all over. So, we made a decision. We told my brother no. We couldn't leave my in-laws, not now. Not when they needed us most. My brother was silent on the phone for a long time. Then he hung up. I don't know when we'll talk again. It's been a rough week. I feel like I've let everyone down. But maybe, just maybe, we did the right thing. Thanks for reading. My wife wants me to live in the basement while she dates other guys. But after 15 years of marriage, I lawyer up and sell the house from under her. So my wife of 5 years and I recently separated. We own a home together and we have a 5-year-old daughter. Our marriage fell apart for a number of reasons, but the house was one of them. It's my family home I grew up in, and we purchased from my mom. And it's absurdly expensive for us to keep and maintain, due to a lengthy remodel we did on it. We started by trying a trial separation of sorts, where I was to leave for a little over a month. Now I am staying with my mom and stepdad, but coming over in the mornings to hang out with my daughter and sending her off to school before heading off to work, and spending Saturdays with her to myself. Since I am the working parent and my wife is the one available to put her to bed and wake her up most consistently, it made sense to me for things to work this way while we were in this phase. It's the next where we disagree. Thinking about our long-term future, we both want to have our own spaces, maintain a healthy relationship as a family and as friends, and support ourselves independently financially. When I proposed the idea of selling the home to expedite going our separate ways and starting over, she put her foot down immediately and said we can't. Saying she's attached to it, so is our daughter. We can refinance our loans and she can find full-time work when our daughter starts full-day kindergarten this fall. While we work to bring the expenses down to something she can afford on her own, a process she freely admits could take years. She wants me to move back into our home, but in the basement, which is currently only partially finished, but she plans to fix up and create a living space for me. I initially didn't have an issue with this plan until she mentioned one day, quite casually, that she found a free toaster oven online, which is one of a few kitchen appliances she intends for me to use, so that we see less of each other when our daughter is not around or awake. She went on to explain that since we only have one bathroom with a shower, she thought about a schedule for using the bathroom that we could stick to. I told her I wouldn't feel right moving back into the house under those circumstances, and made coming back contingent on us going to conscious uncoupling therapy together first, to hopefully resolve as much of the unresolved tension and be on the same page as much as possible. She put her foot down about not wanting to be in therapy together. I'm not sure how firmly I should stand my ground. It feels like I'm compromising on my compromise to my compromise, and that I should have this be my final line in the sand. What I can't bring myself to do is just try to work this living situation out and then pull out, or it would devastate my daughter. Above all, I want to live with dignity. And the sad fact of the matter is, I picture myself living with my mom, medium long term, as more dignified than tiptoeing around my wife and my own home and living in my own basement just to be closer to my own daughter. But at the same time, I feel such a strong pull towards the needs of my daughter right now, who is really confused by all of this. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Your concerns are reasonable. It is unacceptable for you to be the one relegated to the basement and working around your wife in the house that you grew up in, especially if your wife's idea of you having a living quarters is basically giving you cheap appliances so you no longer need to use the proper facilities in the house. That's basically tantamount to her essentially taking the house away from you. Does she not think you're attached to it as well? No. If she has a red line over selling, fair enough. But if she's rejecting therapy to avoid this tiptoe situation, then she needs to propose a better solution that you becoming a second-rate citizen in the house you own. That's not fair on you. I get not wanting to live in the same quarters, sure, but if the basement is your destination, it needs to be done up properly and merely as a sleeping quarters/private space. and not turn into an open-plan basement designed to keep you out of the rest of the house. Comment 2. Absolutely not. Do you have an attorney? You never should have moved out in the first place. But since you can't afford the house, it doesn't matter much. You need to stop being such a pushover. Divorce is common. There are thousands of resources available to help children navigate separation. There's none for my parents divorced, but my father's forced to live in the basement like an imprisoned troll, and now he's in trouble for violating his bathroom schedule. This is freaking insane. Your ex-wife is astoundingly manipulative. She's trying to steal your family home and make you pay for it while living like a prisoner in your own house. No, the house is getting sold. Get a freaking lawyer and make sure you have an ironclad custody agreement. Do not back down on custody. 50-50 joint. Work on establishing your own housing so your daughter can have a place to stay. Stay at your mom's and save money. Your daughter can visit there. Now, for the update. Thanks for sticking around for more of my story. So, things have been getting even more complicated lately. My wife, well, she did something I never saw coming. She's been acting strange, and I couldn't figure out why until a mutual friend let slip that she's been seeing someone. Yeah, someone new, while we're still figuring out our mess. It hit me like a ton of bricks. I've been trying to keep things civil for our daughter's sake, but this? It's like a betrayal on another level. I mean, we're not officially divorced yet, and she's already moving on. It's not just the moving on part that stings. It's the secrecy, the lies. And here I am trying to play the good guy, making sure our daughter's life is as stable as can be. But let's rewind a bit. Before all this blew up, I was seriously considering moving back into the basement of our house. I thought maybe, just maybe it could work. I was willing to swallow my pride for our daughter. I even started looking into how much it would cost to finish the basement properly, make it somewhat livable. I was crunching numbers, trying to figure out if I could afford it without dipping too much into my savings. Then there's work. It's been crazy busy, and I've been putting in extra hours just to keep my mind off things. My boss has been leaning on me for a big project, and I can't afford to drop the ball. It's a good distraction, but it's also exhausting. I come home to my mom's place, and I'm just drained. Now back to the present mess. After finding out about my wife's new relationship, I confronted her. It wasn't pretty. There were tears, shouting, the whole 9 yards. She tried to justify it, saying we were separated, and she didn't think it would hurt me since we were heading towards divorce anyway. But it's not just about me. It's about our daughter. How are we supposed to explain this to her? I've been talking to my mom about it, and she's been a rock. She told me about when she and my dad split up, how tough it was, and how she had to make some hard choices for herself and for me. It's weird how history repeats itself. She's been urging me to stand my ground, to not just cave into my wife's demands because of guilt or for the sake of peace. So I made a decision. I told my wife that I'm not moving back into the house. Not now, not ever. It's not just about the basement or the toaster oven. It's about respect, about honesty. I can't be the only one trying to make this separation work while she's out there playing house with someone else. And then something unexpected happened. My wife broke down, apologized for everything. She said she was scared, that she didn't know how to be alone. And that's why she jumped into something new so quickly. She admitted it was a mistake, that she wasn't thinking about our daughter or me. It was a moment of raw honesty that I hadn't seen from her in a long time. We talked for hours, and for the first time in a long while, it felt like we were actually communicating. We agreed that we need to focus on co-parenting, on making sure our daughter is okay through all of this. We decided to put the house on the market. It's time to let go of the past and start fresh, separately. I've been looking at apartments close enough to my daughter's school, so I can still be there for her. It's not going to be easy starting over, but I feel like it's the right thing to do. I want to show my daughter that even when things fall apart, you can pick up the pieces and build something new. Thanks for reading. It's been a rough ride, but I'm hopeful for the future. My close friend steals the girl I like, but when his girlfriend dumps him and he loses everything, I'm the one she runs to, and I tell her it's too late to play second fiddle. I am going to be very real. I don't even know what question I have for you, but I would like to know, what is your take on this situation I am in? There is this girl, 25-year-old female. that I, 25-year-old male, really enjoy. I met this girl through a close friend of mine. Let's call him Y, 25-year-old male. Turns out Y and this girl are best friends. Y has been dating a girl for 3 or 4 years, just for reference. The problem here is that this girl is continuously giving me mixed signals. In terms of messaging, we have been talking via WhatsApp every single day for about 8 months. But we don't talk about much. We don't say what we are doing or what happened today, or talk about our updates or problems in life. We talk about random topics like football games, sports betting, or even asking my opinion on clothes, things that are not directly related to our personal lives. Most of the updates I get about her life are from Y. And when we are together in person, bear in mind that we are never alone. We are only together as a group. For example, me, her, Y, and another friend of ours. The most we did was holding hands while in the car or at the cinema. Besides that, nothing ever happened or developed between us. This is because it feels like I am competing with her best friend. All of the connection or chemistry, whatever you want to call it, that I believe I would like to have with her, she has with him. And sometimes they even get physical, like petting and such. It probably isn't a big deal overall, but Y knows I am interested in her, and he knows about my current situation with her. And she does understand that I like her, or at least have an interest in her. So trying to get close to her feels like I'm trying to compete with him for her attention. And that sums up a lot of things for me. How can I feel confident or even get the guts to ask her out if I feel like she prefers him over me any day? But since she doesn't get love affection from him, she searches for that in me, or whatever it is that she is not getting. It's been 4 months since I asked her, should I keep messaging you and talking to you because I feel like I'm just disturbing your peace and I don't want to waste each other's time? I decided to do this since sometimes she just answered me very dry or didn't even answer at all. She replied with, "No, I like talking to you. I feel something for you, but I don't understand myself, so I'm not expecting others to understand me. I don't want to engage in something with you so quickly." Also, out of curiosity, she has never dated anyone, and lately she hangs out with him almost every single day for study or just talking. And I know that shouldn't piss me off, but it does since I'm actually trying to get close to her. But all I get is nothing compared to what Y gets without trying. She invites him to hang out, she messages him to come play tennis with her friends, and yeah, I'm just here watching. I can understand that she has never dated, and she is very shy in these situations. But in my head, I feel like she doesn't like me that much because, no one is born with a book of how to date, and so I feel like she's not even trying to give at least signals or at least show that I'm relevant in her life. Would be a nice start. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. Yes, it could be relevant if she doesn't realize that Y has, as far as he's concerned, set her up with you. She might want to keep even the limited relationship you have a secret from Y in the social circle. Either way, it seems you are putting far more value and attention on this relationship than she is willing to do, and that's not a good thing. Comment 2. There are only 3 scenarios. 1. She doesn't like you. If she did, she would make you know it through her actions. 2. She is using you. Or 3. She doesn't know how to deal with relationships. It's going to be a problem in the future if you guys even end up in a relationship. So leave her ASAP. It isn't going to turn out well for you. Now for the update. Thanks for sticking around to hear more about this mess. So, the other day, things took a turn. Y, my friend, he's suddenly moving across the country for a job. Out of nowhere, he drops this bomb on us, and everyone's shocked. But here's the thing, the girl, she's devastated. Crying the whole 9 yards. And me, I'm just standing there, feeling like a third wheel, watching their world crumble while mine's stuck in limbo. Now, with Y gone, you'd think I'd have a clear path, right? Wrong. She's more distant than ever, barely replying to my texts. And when we do talk, it's like she's not even there. It's like Y took a piece of her with him, and I'm left with this shell of a person I thought I had a connection with. And then, just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, she does something that blows my mind. She tells me she's thinking of following Y. Says she can't imagine life without him. I mean, what am I, chopped liver? I've been here the whole time trying to be something more than a friend, and she's ready to up and leave for him. But here's where it gets really twisted. Y's girlfriend, she finds out about the girl's plan to follow him, and she's furious. Accusations start flying, and suddenly, everyone's dirty laundry is out in the open. Turns out, Y and the girl had a thing before he started dating his current girlfriend. And I'm just standing there, feeling like a fool for not seeing it sooner. In the midst of all this chaos, the girl comes to me, crying, saying she's made a huge mistake and doesn't know what to do. And what do? I comfort her. I tell her it's going to be okay, that we'll figure it out together. Even after everything, I can't help but want to be there for her. But then, the kicker. Y's girlfriend breaks up with him, and he decides not to move after all. Suddenly, the girl's all smiles again like nothing ever happened. And me, I'm left wondering where I stand in this whole mess. I guess I'm just the guy who's always there, the backup plan. And the worst part, I let it happen. I forgave her for thinking about leaving, for all the mixed signals, for making me feel like I'm second best. I'm desperate, I know it, and it makes me feel weak, but I can't help it. I still have feelings for her, and I'm holding on to this sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe, she'll see me the way I see her. It's a long shot, but it's all I've got. Thanks for listening. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.